Welcome to From the Bleachers. I'm your host, as always, Shamus Clancy, the deputy sports editor of PhillyVoice.com, here on the wonderful Bleeding Green Nation Radio Podcast Network. Now I am joined by a great guest, great guy, big deal in Philadelphia. I think this is his maybe third or fourth time coming on From the Bleachers. I have Dan Campbell, maybe better known as Soupy, frontman of the great Philly area pop punk band, The Wonder Years. Dan, thank you for coming on. It's been a minute.
Yeah, bro, I love when you switch to radio voice. Like we're just like shooting the shit, and then you're like, shit. So immediately it's like, oh,
I just watched the Seinfeld Low Talker episode last night because Ashley has never really, she didn't grow up watching it religiously. I don't know if you did, where I was watching Monday through, I was probably watching about 20 hours of Seinfeld a week. And this is before streaming and not even DVDs, where it would play on TBS from like 5 to 7 and then Fox from like 6 to 7. And I was just consuming it nonstop and I've seen every episode like 10 times. So we're going through it. And it's like, I was wondering if it's aged too much or it didn't hold up. And it's the joke still stands that every episode would be okay if they just had a cell phone, like that running joke. That makes sense. But it's still so effing funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still funny. I think the conceit of the show being like, these are 4 people who are like objectively terrible.
Yeah, once you realize they're not supposed to be like good people, and like Always Sunny, they're not supposed to be good people. They're terrible people.
Yeah, that's kind of what makes it work and like makes it still kind of hold up, because like their shittiness is like built in. That's baked into the plot. They are bad. These are not heroes. But yeah, I mean, I've been good, man. Just we're getting ready to put out a record September 23rd. And so like we've been playing some festivals, we've been shooting some music videos. I've been doing a lot of press. This is my 4th interview today, and I have one more right after it.
Wow.
But this is and one got canceled actually, but this is the only one where I get to talk about the birds. And so it's the only one I'm excited about.
Yeah, going through the gauntlet. I remember,
don't tell the Philadelphia Inquirer or like whatever else I did today that said that.
No, that's fine. We got to get you on PhillyVoice.com to do a little. They let me kind of do whatever I want culturally as an editor, so I do like a lot of superhero films and television reviews. So maybe we have to chat about the music stuff. We'll get on that since
maybe
a little lacking in coverage. Yeah,
there's a song on the record that opens with the line, "We're building shrines to Saint Nick Foles," and so like, so there's something there for you.
There's a single out, right? Or 2 singles out?
Oh, so many singles out, man. We had to, this is like this new world of like streaming shit where you have to like kind of keep releasing songs slowly to like appease like some sort of like AI god. Yeah, some algorithm somewhere that like no one really like understands the machinations of, but like you have to try. And so we've actually released 5 songs from this record, 2 of them before we even announced the record. 2 since we announced it, and 1 yesterday, which is probably the one that you missed because it's been like 12 hours.
Yeah, hectic. Really hectic, like 48 hours in the Eagles world with, on Tuesday, camp cutdowns, get that initial 53-man roster, trade for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Then yesterday, recording this late Thursday afternoon. I don't know when you're listening to this, maybe Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. But on Wednesday, they do the big Jalen Reagor trade. I'm in an Uber down to the NovaCare complex for practice to be down there as a media member. And of course, that trade breaks when I'm in the car. I'm like, am I going to have to put my cell phone hotspot on? And I'm in this. All my Ubers lately have been Teslas. It's wild. I don't know if this is a new marketing efficiency. Gas-wise or electric-wise, you have all these Teslas doing Ubers. I'm like, am I going to have to work now? And I'm calling our Eagles beat writer, Jimmy Kempski, who also hosts the main BGN radio show here on the BGN radio network, all that brand synergy we love. So wild couple hours. And did a podcast earlier today, me and my co-host Joe on the Odds and End Zones podcast. Talked college football week 1, Gardner-Johnson trade, Jalen Reagor, Gatorade reviews, all of that.
You've been busy too. Yeah, I was telling you before we went live, like last week was like, okay, Wednesday we shot a music video. Thursday we had rehearsals. Friday we flew to Kansas. Saturday we played a festival in Kansas. 5 a.m. Sunday we're up and at the airport, fly to Denver, play a festival in Denver on Sunday, fly back Monday. I started school this week, so I'm working through an MBA program in LaSalle on top of it. Got hanging with the kids.
Big clap. So this will be your first. This will be your first year of the MBA program.
Second year.
Second year.
I'm like halfway through. So and then like hanging with the kids, which is obviously dope, but it's hard to get anything done. And then we announced that we're on the cover of Rock Sound magazine, which is like a UK based magazine. Dropped the single with the video we shot the week before, which is like the fastest turnaround I've ever seen. Today we announced this like release event spectacular. We're taking over Doylestown for a day where we're doing acoustic sets in the record store, premiering the documentary in the movie theater. We're taking over one of the stores as a pop-up shop, and we're throwing an after party at a beer garden with like a custom beer, all this like limited edition merch, just like a ton of shit going on.
Wait,
and then trying to keep up with the birds. That's September 24th. So the record comes out the 23rd. The 24th is the release event spectacular is what we're calling
awesome.
it.
Get a little key to the city. Get a key to the city. Little
see if Doylestown wants to hook it up. No, I think that they're probably some people are excited that we're there, and I'm sure that there's going to be some people that are resentful when we like swarm their town with like 1,000 random like people who, you know, people like us.
2,000 people that look exactly like 2,000 people that look exactly like us are taking over Doylestown. Yes,
a bunch of degenerates with beards and hats.
Yeah, a lot of Eagles tattoos.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, but other than that, I mean, just been trying to keep up with the birds. Saw the roster cut down. Saw the CD Deuce trade. Saw that Jalen went out. I'm feeling very good.
So where were you? We talked at Eagles practice in training camp. You had come one of the days. There was a lot of fans there every day who all got hooked up and were able to go. So we're getting ready into the gritty of the season coming up. We are, I guess, 10 days from week 1, which feels insane. 1 week from the Thursday night kickoff, Bills-Rams. What do you think about the state of the birds right now?
Okay, so last week, Josh and I were talking on the flight to Kansas, my bass player, and he's like, how do you feel? I'm like, yo, there are 2 things I want to do. Actually 3 now. One of them was like, I really wanted to shore up the safety position. And I thought, man, it's worth it to just go after Jesse Bates. Like, that's the guy I want.
Yeah.
And, but to pull, I mean, for what that would have cost versus pulling off this trade for CD Deuce, I'm elated. Because I'm not sure. I've heard that he's going to play some safety. Would not surprise me to see Avante kick into safety and have Chauncey playing slot sometimes. But like, man, the defense to me upgraded everywhere. Like, where do you feel weak about that defense now? Like, I feel great all the way through. Kaiser White looks good. TJ Edwards looks good. Nakobe Dean looks good. Linebackers look the best they have since I can remember. Corners look the best they have in maybe my lifetime. The edge rush looks strong. The inside, like the interior D-line looks amazing. So flipping to the offense, it was like, okay, 2 things I want to do. One of them, you already know. I don't know if he's been picked up yet. He was claimed off waivers. If not, I want.
I know what you're gonna say. I know
you know it. I knew you knew it. I want that dude on this team, man. We have let Rager go. There's a spot there. I want that dude on this team. And then the other one that like most people I say this to don't agree with me. I want to re-sign Jordan Howard. I want a running back on this team that when you say I need 3 yards, do not fuck around and get me 3 yards. They get you 3 yards. Had the highest yards per carry of his career last year. I want Jordan Howard back.
Good news and bad news. Len Bowden, the player referring to, I think you might have been on before the draft that year, and we were both
that we were talking about
this guy. He's like this, Cordell Stewart / this, we didn't think of Deebo Samuel then, but that was probably the guy we pictured in our minds the way they were going to use this dude. Was at Kentucky, played some quarterback, played receiver, returner, all this stuff. But he got claimed by the Patriots today, so now he'll be a multiple-time special team All-Pro probably.
All right.
Jordan Howard, I'm still in on that. And on Philly Voice earlier in the week, I was doing this running back tracker during cutdowns. The Kareem Hunt rumors were out there. I'm certainly out on that because of the off-the-field stuff. I'm assuming you feel fairly similarly. Alexander Mattinson from the Vikings had been mentioning as a trade target. And some guys that got cut down in the camp. They had Sony Michel was cut but now signed with a new team. And I keep saying they should get someone in the Jordan Howard mold. And then in parentheses, I would say maybe Jordan Howard himself. And think Miles Sanders practiced some today for the first time since August 14th, but he's still dealing with that hamstring injury. Nick Sirianni didn't necessarily give him a total vote of confidence of playing in week 1 this week, and next week, I should say, in Detroit against the Lions. So it's a weird situation. They only have 3 running backs on the 53-man roster, which I think was light, especially given Sanders' injury history and how much they ran the ball in 2021. Obviously, they're not going to do that as much this year, given the addition of A.J. Brown, where Devontae Smith's going to blossom to, where Dallas Goedert's going to improve and maybe be a top 7, even top 5 tight end in this league. But I think they still need depth at running back. And, if it's week 2 and they sign Jordan Howard, it really, really wouldn't surprise me. They brought on Michael Perrine. Football Family, they signed to the practice squad yesterday. So maybe he gets bumped up one day if Miles isn't available. But if they're not swinging a trade for a bigger back, there's nothing you can lose by having Jordan Howard on the practice squad like they did last year. And when they needed a kick in the pants to help save the season and switch to this run-heavy scheme, he was the guy that felt like the connective tissue, the glue of that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things that I feel about all of that as you're talking about. I was kind of noting. One is like someone in the mold of like a Sony Michel or
so like that was a guy I thought they could have grabbed.
That's not really what I'm looking for, right? I want a hammer. I want a heavy duty between the tackles guy. Because I really believe in Boston Scott. I really believe in his ability that if Miles is down, that Boston Scott can carry the load. It could be that shifty dude, and then the other thing I was feeling about it when I was watching it, I have 2 other thoughts on it. When I was watching last year, I'm one of the guys that I get frustrated with Miles Sanders sometimes. You love him when he hits a home run, but sometimes I just want someone to hit the hole. And I felt like when we were running it with Boston Scott and Jordan Howard, that running attack was so deadly, because if it's all predicated on the threat of the zone read and it's all predicated on Jalen blocking that crashing in with his eyes, then you need to just make the decision. If he leaves the ball in your belly, got to hit that inside zone, right? It just kind of has to be what it has to be. Another thought I had on it was we talked a lot, or hear people talking a lot about how the defense can be multiple now. We can do so many different things with Hassan Reddick, with having CD Deuce out there now, with having someone like Jordan Davis in the middle. We have a lot of
versatility, interchangeability,
right? And I want that. We said, okay, well, the offense isn't going to be that run heavy this year. I don't think we should just say that. I think that we should have the ability to be that run heavy. I want to be able to play games where if the defense opens up for it, it's bombs away. And I want to be able to play games where we just run it down your throat 40 times a game. And I think let's just have the players that can make anything happen. And I think that leaves you guessing in such a way that I remember I was reading Smart Football.
Yeah, and, might be right.
And remember there's a whole series on package plays where there was a college offense that ran, it was one play call for an entire 2-minute drive because the quarterback could check to okay, if it's off coverage, we're going to throw the bubble. If it's press, we're going to throw the go. We can check to a zone read depending on, we can check to an RPO. Yeah. The same guys can do so many different things out of the same formation that makes it so deadly. And I think that having a running, I think that we need that. That's a missing piece to the offense right now, is a running back that will just run you over. Not to say Miles can't do it, Boston can't do it, Kenny can't do it, but I want someone that specializes in it. And I think that was what was so special about LeGarrette Blount too.
Want to hear some big NBA news?
I'd love to. Do you just get something?
Cavaliers traded for one Donovan Mitchell.
Oh,
I feel like that's the 2 guards they already have are in the Donovan Mitchell molds.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That it feels like one of them
has to go back, I guess. But I like the 2 guys already. All I saw was Woj tweeted they're agreeing to finalize a deal to acquire Donovan Mitchell. So
you imagine Garland or Sexton is.
I feel like one's got to go back, right?
Yeah, I don't know what else you're going to send them. I mean, what other kind of assets did the Cavs?
Yeah, they wouldn't give up Mobley for him, certainly.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the Cavs front office is thinking. I'm not plugged in enough to Cleveland basketball to know, but still crazy news. But yeah, I
What
mean,
do you
other than that, like again, like with the Eagles, like other than the fact that I would like to sign Jordan Howard, I feel great. I feel like I mean, I even feel great about the depth. Like, there's not a lot of players where you go like, "Ooh, if you lose this guy, you can't tread water for a few games." Like, I feel like pretty much anybody on the team goes down, as long as it's not season ending, we keep afloat for a while.
even at QB?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whether it's Minshew, I mean, like some of the players that like, okay, like Slay would give me some pause. If you lose Slay for a couple games, I would feel uncomfortable. I guess Goddard, like the fall off to
Yeah.
Stoll is pretty big. But even if you lost AJ Brown for a couple of games, I mean Devontae, Pascal, and Quez looks good. Right? That's a good three receiver set still. Um, even if you lose Jason Kelsey now, which I in previous years would have said was a death sentence for the season, Cam Jurgens looks great.
He looked unbelievable in the preseason. And again, the caveat, it's the preseason. I think back to the 2019 draft where the first three picks were Andre Dillard and Miles Sanders and Jay Jaw, and everyone's saying, wow, they have completely restocked the cupboard. Jay Jaw was awesome in the preseason. We know how things turned out with those three guys. Miles still a little iffy.
Well, he just
here in
needed
terms
Josh
of,
McCown to be throwing in the ball. That was the answer there. He's only great if Josh McCown's the one throwing the ball.
But I like Jurgens a lot. I love the way that Kelsey was gassing him up during the pre-draft process and after the Eagles took him. And that's before even, most Eagles fans got a real chance to see him in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, is there a position that you're worried about the depth on?
Corner.
Yeah.
But even then, so it's defensive back, I guess, because I was on training. I was at practice 2 days this week, and on Monday, I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman did a joint press conference, and they kept the buzzword for Sirianni was interchangeable. And I think they look at that secondary as interchangeable because let's say you don't really want any of the corners to go down, even if it's an outside guy. Maybe you get stuck having to play Avonte on the outside, which I don't love. But then you could have a guy like Gardner Johnson slide in the slot, and if there's an injury at safety, they can move Avonte there and move someone else to nickel cornerback. But it's a little thin at corner, I would say. Zach McPherson, I think he looked okay in training camp. I guess this will be his second or third season,
right?
Yeah,
I saw him
season.
make a big play at that one practice I was at. And I've heard a lot of good stuff about Reed Blankenship too. Like,
I think he's had a great camp.
It seems like there's some people here. Yeah, I mean, and Marcus Epps is getting gassed up as something too. Like
the team loves him.
I feel like there's enough there that again, like I wouldn't feel good if you lose Slay or Bradbury for the season, but I think you lose them for 3 games. That doesn't mean 3 losses.
Yeah. And I look at that for quarterbacks. My thing when you evaluate a backup quarterback to me is if your starter missed 3 games or 4 games, could you go 2-2 or 2-1 with this guy? If the answer is no, you need a new backup quarterback. And if the answer is yes, you're in good shape. And really for the Eagles, it's been like that for really most of my life in the terms of how much the quarterback factory will live in infamy, but it's truly an organizational edict that dates back to Andy Reid coming here in 1999.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What do you think about Jalen overall?
I feel good, man. I said this to you last year, I think, when we were talking about the team going into the season, was like, I would rather be a fringe playoff team with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts that is like really fun to watch, like compelling to watch on the field, than like a division winner and have to have Kirk Cousins as my quarterback and just be asleep the whole game. Like I'm watching football because it's fun to watch football, and like you want to win. It's the most fun when you win. I mean, I see Patrick Robinson on the wall behind you. It was fun when we won, right?
I didn't put the came out swinging thing because you're on. It's always there. You could look back on YouTube.
I've seen it.
I wasn't trying to just kiss your ass, obviously.
Well, you got my blank wall behind me that I keep meaning to hang stuff on, and then keep having to go on tour. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's the most fun when you win, but like, I would rather be compelling and good than boring and great. And I think Jalen Hurts is at the very least compelling and good, and the ceiling is compelling and great.
Yeah, you can either be entertaining or good. You can't be neither for any. I think that's a hallmark I say about any sports franchise. Sixers, when they were bad in the process errors, they good? No. Are they entertaining? Kind of. So it was okay.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, if the best one, you're both. But if I could only pick one, I am here to be entertained. Literally why I am watching entertainment.
Do you think they'll win the division?
I do. I think it'll walk. I don't think it's even close.
Give me a record prediction and a playoff determination where they end up in the playoffs and how far do they go?
The record is going to be 12-5.
That's where I
feel that.
Which is
I feel that good. I don't know. It's so hard to say because like again, like once you get to the playoffs, then you stop talking about those injuries being survivable, right? Like if you lose some key
stop
guys.
Talking about entertainment, you just want to win because winning's funner than Jalen Hurts running for 130 rushing yards in a loss in the divisional round, right?
But I think when I look at the NFC specifically, it's not like paralyzing me with fear.
Yeah.
Rams are obviously great, but I don't even know about the Packers this year. I mean, I guess it's a fool's errand to distrust Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, but like, I don't know. I'm not petrified of them the way that I would be if we were talking about the Bills or maybe the Bengals or the Chiefs or the Chargers or, I mean, the AFC is loaded, but I feel like it's one of those things where you make it to the dance, anything can happen. There's no team that I'm like, we can't beat them. It's impossible.
Yeah, I think for most of my life, the AFC has been the stronger conference, and that's helped the Eagles out a ton over the years, especially maybe the last handful of years where in 2018, 2019, 2021, they might not have made the postseason. I mean, the Chargers were 9-8 last year. The Eagles were 9-8. The Eagles were if the Chargers were at 9-8 in the NFC, they're definitely making the playoffs. Maybe they upset the Bucks, whereas the Eagles probably aren't going 9-8 if they're playing in the AFC West, right? But I think I predicted them. I went optimistic because a lot of people are just kind of treading water. Oh, they're 10-7, they're 11-6. So I was like, well, everyone's picking that, and I don't think they're a 9 or 8 win team. So I'm saying 12. And some people think maybe they won one playoff game. I'm saying they win two. I said I picked them to go to the conference championship and lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers once again in Tampa Bay.
That's not an unfair prediction. I mean, like, I'm worried. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm worried about my line. At 45 years old, you got to be worried about it because you don't have as good a shape as he's still in at that age. It's one bad hit, and that's all over. So, like, there's such a high variance on that team because it really lives or dies by Brady. Like that is like, I don't even, who's the backup there? Not Bortles.
Oh, it's Blaine Gabbert, who's basically
the immortal
They're
Blaine
the same.
Gabbert.
They're the same person the way Matt Hasselbeck and Trent Dilfer are the same person in my head, so it's fine.
If Tom Brady goes down, that season's over. If Aaron Rodgers goes down, that season's over. I think that the Niners could be frisky. It's almost a similar situation, right? How is Jalen going to play? How is Trey going to play?
Yeah.
And I could see, I mean, that would be a fireworks ass game. I would love to see that game get played.
What I was going to say. How do you like Trey? I'm not his biggest fan. My issue is experience. It has nothing to do with who he is as a person, mental makeup, raw talent. Jalen Hurts. The Eagles did not throw the ball a lot last year. I believe they were 28th in first down passing, and that's from the second half of the season on when they were just a 1957 running team. Mm-hmm. Despite that, Jalen Hurts threw for more passing yards last season than Trey Lance has last year and his entire collegiate career combined. That's rough.
Yeah, there's not a lot of experience there, but how do you get the guy experience? You let him play,
Correct. Yeah, then
right?
that's my issue there is I'm not taking a I was a little gun shy, I would say, of drafting another quarterback from North Dakota State. I would be. And I know he's a little bit different stylistically than Wentz, but I want a college quarterback that has a lot of experience, who's won a lot of games, who even if he's in the FCS, Carson Wentz played in a couple championship games for North Dakota State. So that's a little bit different. He started over the course of 3 or 4 seasons. Trey Lance really hasn't played a ton of football over the last few years. And I'm left wondering, hey, he has the benefit of a great roster around them, a great offensive roster, a great defensive roster, a guy I think is a top 2 or 3 coach, top 2 or 3 offensive mind in this league. He has all that. He's been put in his position to succeed. And like you said, it's very akin to Jalen's situation here. And I think if something happens with either of those quarterbacks, whether it's poor play, injuries, each team has, I would say, a top 2 backup quarterback in Jimmy G and Minshew, respectively, that playoff profile doesn't change too much if there's a quarterback situation where the number 2 needs to go in.
Yeah, also that's an interesting point as far as like league ranking for backup quarterbacks. Obviously, the greatest backup quarterback.
That's actually an article I have coming next week on PhillyVoice.com.
I mean, the greatest backup quarterback of all time is on the Colts right now, and that's Nick Foles. So yes. Outside of that, though, yeah, I mean, Jimmy G could start on a lot of teams in this league. Gardner Minshew could probably start on a couple teams in this league.
I think Gardner Minshew is a top 30 quarterback. He's not a top 20 quarterback, but I think he's a top 30.
No, but like, would you rather have Gardner Minshew or Geno Smith?
Easy.
Would you rather have Gardner Minshew or Davis Mills? A couple guys. Yeah, exactly. There's a couple guys that guy could replace. So that's a great backup to have. Yeah, I always and he also does the thing that I am. My take on backup quarterbacks has always been, I want one that can run, because like you're not going to have the reps with these guys, no matter how much you practiced, no matter how much you looked at your playbook. It's just the timing is always going to be off a little bit. And I just want you to have that additional weapon where you can just say, fuck it. I want to win this game. I'm going to take off.
I've said that, I feel like, for the last 15 years. And I think back to really 2010 when Michael Vick took over for Kevin Kolb. And it's part of the reason why I didn't necessarily like the Jalen Hurts pick at the time, given it was a second-round pick, and he thought this roster was getting loaded around Carson Wentz. But the idea
we also talked about it before that draft, where we
gassed up Jalen Hurts. We were
going back and forth going, yo, what if we get Jalen Hurts in like the 3rd round? Wouldn't that be dope? And then they took him in the 2nd, and everyone's mad.
But I like the idea of a quarterback, like you said, who has that running profile as your backup, because, like you're saying, comes into the game cold in the 3rd quarter, hasn't really played meaningful snaps in maybe the entire season. Maybe it's been a year or 2 since he's been thrust into a true game situation. The timing's not going to be good with the receivers and tight ends. It's not going to be Chris. He's not going to be, not only say arm shape, but arm ready to just step in there and start throwing darts. So it's going to happen. It's 3rd and 6. He's going to drop back. We need a guy to roll around and rush for 12 yards and pick up a first down that way. So I know Minshew certainly isn't Jalen Hurts, but I think he's very strong in the RPO game. He has that ingrained in him. And I think what we saw in the Jets game last year, he can step in and win them a game. If Jalen Hurts missed 3 games for some reason, depending on where they're at in the schedule, I really think Gardner Minshew could go 2-1 in that stretch.
I mean, it's kind of like, I always thought this. I mean, I understand why Cap didn't want to sign a backup deal for a long time, but like, man, if you're an NFL team and you have someone that's that athletic and that talented, and you're trotting out Chase Daniel to be your backup just to get murdered. You're just like, hey, let's just put Chase Daniel out here to get murdered. Like, what about this incredibly strong, fast, talented dude? Or I don't know what he's done since he got cut from the Browns a million years ago, but it always seemed insane to me. Like, Johnny Manziel always felt like the world's most perfect backup, because it doesn't seem like he can study a playbook, but he can play backyard football.
Yeah, I would look at him and Kaepernick as, to put it lightly, a little bit of opposites in terms of how their profile is off the field, to put it mildly.
Yeah, incredibly different humans. But as far as like what you want out of your backup, I don't know. What happened to Johnny Manziel? He's playing in Canada.
He was in that fan-controlled football league, I think most recently, that T.O. is playing in or had played in. But obviously I have to look it up now.
Yeah, I was like, that guy was like, oh, he's not on the Browns anymore. And I was like, oh, someone will sign him as a backup, right? And then I like didn't look. I like just didn't Google him for 10 years. And then I was like, oh, wait, he was playing in Canada?
He plays on the Zappers in the fan-controlled football league. The
Is that the
Zappers.
league where the jerseys look like Reese's cups?
Yeah, I think so. He played 2 years in the or 1 year in the CFL, split between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Montreal Alouettes. I'm certainly butchering that.
I
Did
think it's
not take French.
Alouettes.
Alouettes took French
Okay.
neither in high school nor college. So my apologies there if we have any French or
I think I
potentially
just
French
remember it
Canadian listeners out
being.
there.
I think I remember being at Alouettes when Tressman was coaching the Bears, and they would talk about it in the booth.
Oh yeah, I actually after he kind of burned out there, I kind of like the idea of him coming in as whether it's a advisor, QB coach, or something like that. I really liked him stylistically. Obviously, did not work for him out for him as a head coach though. In 2013, the Bears were okay and had a shot at the playoffs for sure.
That was the Josh McCown year, right? Where it was like on
Yeah,
fire because he was throwing
yeah.
like the twin towers of Brandon
Dude,
Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey.
his stats were unbelievable that year. I have to look him up now.
Because I feel like that was the year where it was like, hey, Josh, just fucking throw it as far as you can. One of these guys is going to get it.
So he completed 66.5% of his passes, started 5 games, won 3 and 2, threw a 13-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and a wild 8.2 yards per attempt, QB rating of 109, and a QBR of 82.4. Obviously, a tremendous outlier in his career, but
Yeah.
for a bit of time, it felt like the way Chip Kelly had Nick Foles going, Tressman had Josh McCown going.
Yeah.
Circle of life. Josh McCown was in Philadelphia for 2 years.
Yeah, that was, and then they thought, we'll go back to Cutler.
Wild vibes off the field, but not the greatest quarterback ever, I'd say.
Cutler?
Yeah.
I think that it's probably a guy that I would dislike pretty deeply.
Who do you think has more receiving yards this year? A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith? Or even Dallas Goedert?
I think that it might be Devontae just because, like, he's going to feast on second cornerbacks, right? That's like,
I see that.
that's a wide receiver one playing against your second best quarter or cornerback. And maybe sometimes your third. Like, I could see a lot of sets where you bump him inside of the slot.
Yeah.
That's a shifty dude.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Maybe not receiving yards, but I think he'll lead the team in receptions.
Okay. I like that.
I can see A.J. Brown leading in receiving yards and Devontae leading in receptions.
And maybe Goddard in touchdowns.
Also very possible.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a nice spread out offense. And in training camp, they were really force feeding AJ. And I think I've harped on it in my writing on Philly Voice and on this podcast, Odds and End Zones. Hurts has been throwing over the middle with a ton of success in training camp, with the obvious caveat that it's practice in training camp. But that's something he didn't do at all last year. And that seems like an unstoppable route for A.J. Brown, especially when you take into account his run after the catch ability, racking up that yak. I think it'll be tremendous connection. But I do think the offense will be pretty spread out and balanced. And I'm not just talking about run the pass ratio, but in terms of who's getting the ball from Hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about the Sixers. I'm excited about everything. Like, it feels really good right now. I guess I'm not a baseball guy so much. I want to like baseball. I think there's like a romance in baseball, and every year come like, it's like opening day feels so exciting, and then I just lose it throughout the season, just over the course of the whole thing. But from what I like hear every once in a while, it seems like there's a wild card spot in the Phillies' future.
Yeah, there were 3 wild card teams in each league this season. They are in the second spot. They are a half game up as of this recording on the Padres. And so right now it'd be the Atlanta, Phils, and the Padres making it as the 3 wild card teams. And then the Brewers are 4th and out of the picture, but 2.5 games out. So if those standings held, the Phillies would go to Atlanta for a 3-game playoff series, all games in Atlanta, best 2 out of 3.
I think that it's the same thing, like, for every sport, really. once you make it to the playoffs, like anyone's got a shot.
Oh my God!
I
Yeah.
feel like
I think in
it's a
baseball more
little.
than any sport too.
Yeah, I mean, football always strikes me that like because there's not a series, right? There's a 1 game series that anyone's got a puncher's chance. Like anyone could have something crazy happen. I mean, I don't think that Seattle should have beat the Eagles in that wild card game a few years ago if it wasn't for Jadeveon Clowney
Sure.
weaponizing his head against Carson Wentz. Like
Yeah.
because like you almost beat them with Josh McCown with his quad torn off the bone. He still almost won that game.
What a gutty performance from him. And obviously, he wasn't the type of backup quarterback that Nick Foles had been the previous 2 years, but valiant effort for an old guy, a guy who'd been around since I was in like second grade.
Yeah.
That was big.
But yeah, I mean, that shows how, like, in the playoffs for the NFL, it could just, hey, the quarterback's hurt, the other team's going to win. And that's why I was talking about earlier, like, there's no team that I'm terrified of because you always have a puncher's chance once you make it to the playoffs. And I think a 3-game series in baseball, and baseball seems like it's such a high variance sport. Just like my limited understanding of it is like, dude, so much more of it feels, luck is not the right word, but it's like out of the control of like, I think a basketball game, like you can kind of control that game if you're someone as talented as like a Joel Embiid, like, but no matter how good you are, you're only batting 1 out of every 9 tries, right? And like, it's just it feels it's too high variance of a sport, and it needs a long series. And in a 3-game series, again, that's basically a puncher's chance.
Yeah. You didn't. How far do you have them going in the playoffs? We didn't get a hard answer.
I don't know. Fuck it. Let's go to the Super Bowl.
You think they're going to win the Super Bowl?
I think they'd go to the Super Bowl. I don't think that they could win the Super Bowl. But
against who? Bills, Chiefs, Chargers?
I think it would be the most fun if it was the Chargers, because imagine, where's the Super Bowl this year?
Arizona.
The Chargers just don't have enough fans.
Yeah, I mean, in 2017, the Birds took it, and that was when they were playing at that soccer stadium or MLS stadium. That wasn't even, it was in neither San Diego nor LA.
I always thought that they should have been the Anaheim Chargers anyway, but the Orange County Chargers would have worked for me and would have worked for them. That's a huge population center, but regardless, imagine a Birds Chargers Super Bowl. That's an Eagles home game.
Sure.
That would be a lot of fun.
And then just a bunch of Rick's executives that work for Capital One and stuff like that.
Yeah. The Chargers have some fans. My homie Vic from a band called Pierce the Veil is like a big Chargers fan, right? Just like from San Diego, that's been his team. And I think there is a lot of that.
How did he feel about the move? Did that change the fandom?
I never really got his perspective on it, but I saw him in a Chargers hat after the move, so I have to imagine that it's still. And I think that Vic spends a lot of his time in LA anyways. He has the luxury of doing that as like a guy in a very popular band. But
we have a comment here predicting Eagles-Bills Super Bowl, Eagles 34-32. I think you'd be okay
live?
with that, right?
We're like
on
live?
YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube.
Oh, no shit.
So it's easy. It's easier to record this way and get audio and video really quickly. So we're using StreamYard, which if you ever have to do anything in the future, I really love, and I used it even before I was doing these sorts of interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, it's broadcasting live on YouTube, even though we're not necessarily using YouTube specifically right now.
Oh, cool. Is anyone watching besides that one comment? Because we didn't promote it.
No, I don't promote it because it's just there's no really need to. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which you can do, I think it's Bleeding Green Nation SBN. You could just Google us on there. But usually we have like 2 or 3 different people that might pop in at any different point in time. So we had 2 people in at one time. We have 1 in here right now. So that works.
Well, dude, I hate to do it to you, but I have more press today, so I got to pop off.
I was going to wrap it up. 4 o'clock's perfect.
Hell yeah. But I should just say
plug the album, plug what you needed. What do you need to do?
The Wonder Years, The Hum Goes On Forever comes out September 23rd. If you are an Eagles fan, like I said, there's a song on it called The Paris of Nowhere. The first line of the song is "We're building shrines to St. Nick Foles." Not a whole record about the Eagles, obviously, but We had a bunch of songs out, but most recently a song came out called Old Friends Like Lost Teeth. Videos up for that. And we are this Sunday we're playing Allentown with the starting line. We're doing the record release spectacular in Doylestown on the 24th of September. 24th of September. And then we're going to be announcing a Philly show in the near-ish future. So
Thanksgiving Eve tradition.
That would be cool. And we also have, a bunch of other shows. We're playing Starland, New Jersey. The New York show is sold out. The Baltimore show, about 100 tickets left. So if you're anywhere in the region, we're kind of all over. We have a bunch of other shows that we're doing that When We Were Young Fest with My Cam and Paramore. We're doing Riot Fest in Chicago. We're doing Is for Lovers Fest in Cincinnati. We're going back to the UK in November. And then after that November tour, I am going to lay my very tired bones on the ground and pick them back up next year.
Much deserved rest for you, my friend. I'll let you go now.
All right. Appreciate it. Go Birds.
Talk to you, bro. Hopefully things are going well and good for the team, good for business for me. And you come on for playoff time. How about that?
I would love to be here for the playoffs.
All right. Talk to you, man.
All right. See you, buddy.